Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Cryotic game video. This time, we are back in Battlefront 1. The map, I think it's Graveyard of Giants. There's some giant ships having a graveyard here. On Yaku. And the mode is Fighter Squadrons, similar as the previous video. So this time, I'm flying the A-Wing, which is much faster than the X-Wing of course. But in this game, for some reason, it appears not so deadly. I mean, okay, it makes sense, the X-Wing has more weapons, but the Interceptor should be better at destroying enemy fighters and interceptors. It's actually its job. But it seems a little bit weaker. Not by much. Still. About this game, so I really love how it looks. Just look around. Just look at how many little details the developers have added. All the smoke, all the destruction around, all the flying in the sky, in the skybox behind. The particle effects. I know it's impossible for me to think it's a 10-year-old game. Games nowadays haven't progressed as much, and I guess that's one of the reasons that EA doesn't want to make Battlefront 3. It's to be a real tough job to, how do I say, satisfy everybody. You know, the Star Wars fans, the Battlefront fans, the original Battlefront fans. Look at what's in the background there. It's a Super Star Destroyer, maybe even. Probably not the Executor, because we know that one crashed on the Death Star. So a different Super Star Destroyer crashing in the distance. As they didn't have to do that. It's just a backdrop. There's also a Star Destroyer crashing in the right of the screen. There was. It's not visible now. Amazing. I'm always fascinated by this game. Probably that Star Destroyer crashed. And the Super Star Destroyer is only crashing now. It's far in the distance. I think I'm trying to go as close as possible to it, but you cannot go because it's out of bounds. But it still looks amazing. Especially again for a 10-year-old game. I know. That's definitely one of the reasons that they don't want to risk with Battlefront 3. Who can, you know, they need to sit down and figure out what was the best of the original Battlefronts, what was the best of this Battlefront, and of course Battlefront 2, and make it a new game somehow. If I was EA, the best thing that they can do now is announce that they are continuing development of Battlefront 2. Like a surprise patch. Imagine they bring in one new map, a few new heroes. Just how much new players and returning players will be back to that game. I guess EA would want to, you know, make money somehow. And that, I guess, is the issue of all these things. Because I guess it's difficult to introduce paid cosmetics in such a game, you know. Because of course it needs to be lore friendly. Disney needs to sign off on it. So that's one of the reasons that they cannot monetize the game as much as possible. And of course they tried pay to win tactics with the loot boxes in Battlefront 2. It failed, and thank goodness it failed. But because it would have been a worse game, definitely, if it had pay to win mechanics with the star cards being openable in loot crates instead of level by levels as it is now. So yeah, I don't know what to say. It will be difficult to monetize such a game. I mean, monetize at the levels that EA wants. Otherwise, the game sold pretty well. Both of these games, Battlefront 2015 and Battlefront 2. But I don't know. They want more. But as I said, if they announce for just for a second, imagine flying upside down in this game is really difficult. Just imagine, as they did something similar as they did for Titan Souls, if any of you guys know. They announced an expansion pack about 10 to 12 years after the game released, and it was greatly done, greatly received. It sold well, so I don't know. Maybe that's the future, one of the futures of gaming. You know, introducing extra content for older games that are still looking good and could be popular. For example, again, another DICE game, Battlefield 1. Imagine if they announced the expansion pack for that game. It's still so popular, it still looks great, it still plays great. So, in my opinion, no reason. But of course, they need to push along the series. So yeah, they're making Battlefield 6, and they focus on that. Fair enough. Okay. But again, imagine if a smaller team from DICE, like maybe 20 people, focus a few months and make a new expansion pack for Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5. Maybe I'm too ignorant in game development. Of course, I have no experience of that. But as I've been a gamer entire life, I'm just saying what I would like to see. You know, I don't want to, you know, pay money extra for every single game, but they already have that in almost every single game nowadays, so it's almost unavoidable. Unavoidable, yeah. I don't know. I just want another great Star Wars game. They had something announced recently that they're working on a new multiplayer Star Wars game, but who knows what that will be. Maybe an MMO. You know, I'm not a huge MMO fan, but if it's a good game, maybe I'll give it a try. Also, the single-player experiences for Star Wars are just the Jedi Survivor and the Jedi Fallen Order games, for example, are quite good. They're okay. You know, they're sort of Dark Souls-like. They're sort of similar to Wukong, for example. They're more action-oriented, but they're also quite difficult at times, especially in the higher difficulties. So they're doing a good job there. But Ubisoft done a terrible job with Star Wars Outlaws. Not sure. They seemed, how do I say? They wanted to make an outlaw game, but the Star Wars franchise somehow kept them back instead of making it better. What they done for Outlaws? They didn't put enough grittiness in a outlaw game. How do I say this? They didn't make it free roaming enough. I don't know. Maybe they do some good upgrades for that game as well, so I can play it finally. Of course, I haven't played that one yet, but from what I've seen so far, it's not too good. At least not to my liking. But anyways, enough for me ranting. This wasn't supposed to be a story video. The gameplay in the background, so the Millennium Falcon. It's amazing. It does a lot of damage. It's surprisingly maneuverable. The shield helps soaking up a lot of damage. The afterburner is very fun. And I decided to fly around the map. Actually, I have decided definitely I will make at least one video from each of the Fighter Squadron maps, and I like to explore them and find some you know, unorthodox ways to move around them. You know, discover every nook and cranny, like flying through the Venator on Kashyyyk. I'm sure the developers have something in store for me. If nothing, flying close to obstacles is always fun. And I guess I need to learn a better way to fly upside down in this game. I've been searching through the options and looking for a way to use the keyboard to roll, but it doesn't seem to be any option for that. because I'm so used to rolling on with the A and D keys on Battlefront 2. And here you cannot really roll except with the mouse and the F2, F3 and F1 buttons, but that's not a real roll, it's a, how do I say, pre-made. It's fixed. The F1 rolls to the left, the F2 rolls to the right, and the F3 rolls to the right, F2 rolls to the back. This does a 180-degree roll. Oop, I almost landed the Millennium Falcon there. Very dangerous maneuver for no reason. The Star Destroyer is there. I'm shooting to show you guys. It's smoking. I'm not sure how this map time-wise connects to the same map on Battlefront 2. I'm really not sure of the timeline of the map, because there is no real story in Battlefront 1. Maybe it's before, maybe it's after, maybe it's at the exact same time that the battle of the story campaign in Battlefront 2 takes place. But this is a different set of heroes fighting here. I mean, of course, the battles in the Star Wars universe are supposed to be huge. And this is, visually, it's a huge battle, you know? There are the TIE fighters here, but there are a lot of capital ships like the Calamari cruisers and the Star Destroyers in the sky. And also there are loads of those dots, if you can notice in the background. They are all supposed to be individual fighters. So you can see in the background there are loads of them. Thousands of them. They really put their heart and soul in this game. It's amazing. I don't know what to say about it. I wanted to ask you guys, have any of you played Empire at War? The strategy, like Dawn of War, but Star Wars. I'm looking into that. Looks very fun, and now that I'm finally talking, maybe I could play a strategy game for you guys and talk what I'm doing, because without commentary it's very difficult to follow strategies, I'm aware. Anyways, let me know. We won. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.